What's good, YouTube? Ricky Fontaine here, back with another episode of Ricky Fontaine On. And what I'm on tonight is Power Book 2, Ghost, episode number 3. Play the game. It's time to play the game. Before I get started, guys, don't forget to do what you normally do. Like this video and subscribe to my channel for any other updates and other videos just like these. But let's get right into it. So we started the show off with Kane and Drew making their rounds to a different stash house and collecting cheese, just kind of letting you into what the Tejada family drug game is like. But they're always finding this one person who never quite has the money and they get their tail kicked. It's in every movie like that, or every show that we see when they got to dealing with drugs and everything. There's always this one dummy that's a glutton for punishment and getting their tail kicked because they have $40 and they are being supplied with so much other stuff. Well, anyway, we shoot to Tariq, where Tariq is texting Diana and telling her thank you for having her dad help get Tasha the morning after pill that she requested for an inmate for whatever plan she got going on how she's trying to get help in jail. Anyway, Tariq thanks her, and he wants to thank Monet and Diane in person, so he wants to come over for dinner. Well, immediately that is blown up because Dre and Kane comes in. They just got through with their making rounds and collecting their cheese when Diana pulls up an Instagram page where we got this guy that go by the name of Lil Guap and his folks stunting on Instagram and showing how they live and all the money that they getting and stuff like that. Well, that's becoming a problem because now the Tejada name is in it, and the Tejada and Lil Guap folks, they all work together. So if Guap and them get into some issues, of course, they may start snitching and bring the Tejada family in, and so they ain't liking it. So Monet hears about what's going on, and she doesn't like it. As always, she a badass on the show, so she ready to throw down and do whatever. So she hits up Renzo, who we are finally introduced in this show. We see a lot more of him in jail and how he's living. Well, in a way, she hits him up and was like, yo, got a little guap them, they out here bringing heat to the family name. We need to shut this down, yada, yada, yada. Well, there's some history between that family and theirs, because I think Guap's father or something like the father of that group took a bullet for the Tejada, so they're locked in. They're like family almost. So what Renzo tells Monet to do is like, look, just calm down, send Drew over to handle that, and we'll see what comes out of that or whatever. So Monet didn't want to really send Drew because she feels like he's not about that life. Pretty much, he's not about that life. But Renzo has his reasons for doing it, so we'll let you know what that is. But anyway, she calls everybody back in or whatever and lets them know what's going to happen. That Kane is not going to handle it. It's going to be Drew, and that Kane wants to do it, but Daddy said Drew do it. So that's what we're going to go with, right? But what Renzo doesn't know is that Monet sends Kane to kind of keep an eye on his brother and just let him, just be in the background, just kind of watching and see what's going on in case he doesn't, go through what he's supposed to go through with. So later on that night, Drew goes to Guap's little stash house or party, whatever it was. It was a party going on, and Drew's there, and it looks like he was able to kind of talk to him. It was like, look, you've been one of the best. What do you call him? I mean, supply. Now he's not a supplier, but he's making them a lot of money with moving some of the work that he's doing or whatever. So he's just giving them props on that, and just basically tells him to just kind of like tone it down with the Instagram stuff because you're bringing some heat on yourself, which brings heat on the Tejada name or whatever. Guap say he get it or whatever, but he still, he one of them hotheads that I don't see probably living long in this show or whatever. But he flips the camera around and tries to get Drew on the gram or whatever, and Drew slaps the phone out of his hand. He pissed off at this point or whatever. So Guap gets up and just starts talking cash money yin yang about Monet, talking about, I'm not gonna go into all that, but basically just saying his mama needs some and he be that to give her some or whatever. Basically, so man, Drew reaches in his back pocket and about to pull the nunu and stuff. It's about to be on, right? But then Kane comes in. Now remember, Drew thought he was there by himself, but Kane comes in and shuts that whole thing down. Guap all of a sudden clears up like, yo, yeah, hey, we me and Drew cool, da 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 da. We were just messing around, da da da. So Kane tells Drew, let's get out of here. And, they get ready to walk out. And so Kane turns around and starts shooting in the air, letting the rounds off in the air and stuff in a party now, just being dumb. So, Drew and Kane get into a little verbal disagreement out there, letting them know I can handle it, la, 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 la. But just as they getting ready to leave out of this place, the cop car comes rolling around and asks them to stop or whatever. So they take off running. Cop get out and start running. So when you look in the driver's side, guess who it is? It's the cop, Boo Ramirez. So he's like, golly, now what I got to do to get them out of this? Because, the cops chasing after them now. So they running around corners, hitting corners, da 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 da, and they get to hiding in this alley or whatever. And the cop comes around the alley. He got his gun pulled. Kane pulls his gun. He's hiding around the corner or whatever, and he's about to shoot this cop. But Cop Boo pulls up and say, hey, they went this way. The other cop is like, I knew they came down this alley or whatever. But anyway, he was able to, Ramirez was able to pull the cop off of that alley and get him back in the car, and they pull off that way. Kane and Drew can get off. So I guess that's one of the perks of being in bed with the cop. So we get to McClane and Paula, and they are just still pissed. They up to here with Tasha at this point, okay? She just lying, selling them a dream, lying some more, and they out here looking stupid. And they was like, look, we can't help you unless you come clean. Isn't this like the repetitive thing? Like this third episode with somebody telling her she needs to come clean. But Tasha comes up with this genius idea this time that she's going to get on the stage and she's going to testify. She's going to get on the stand, and she's going to testify. She's going to show these people that I am not the queen pin, and there is nothing that sex can do that's going to be able to get what I'm going to get through these jury people, and there is nothing you're going to do about it. All right, McClane was like, all right, cool. Paula was like, what? McClane was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But basically, he's like, I'm going to show her that it's not as easy as what you think. So, McClane, without Tasha knowing, pulled Tasha out of prison to bring her to a courthouse where they did something like a mock trial, where McClane hired a judge, jury, had a cross-examiner, and all the works, just to prep her to let her know this is what you're going to be, dealing with when you go to trial. Since you want to be big and bad and want to get on the stand or whatever, I'm gonna let you know what it's like. So it goes. She's shocked, and she goes through it or whatever. So she gets up there and pulls her little. I was not the whole nice woman. I was pulled into this crap or whatever that she wants to sell, and think it's just easy to pull that over on the jury or whatever. But yeah, McClain does his part, and he asks a question or whatever, and she sells it to the jury, just like she does or whatever. And the next day, she's brought back in there, and Tasha still doesn't know. But what she don't know is she thought that that was it. That was a question that she was going to get. She forgot about the cross-examining part. And lo and behold, guess who was the person who was going to ask her questions as a cross-examination? Our friend Tamika. Man, when I tell y'all, Tamika laid into Tasha. She laid into her. I mean, she asking her questions and things that Tasha ain't even thought of. Was she just up there? But but and it was just like, have you ever just seen somebody get hit and they ain't defending themselves? She was getting hit with haymaker after haymaker. I'm like, girl, fight back. Say something. Ask for some water. Faint or something. She was eating her up so much so that the jury read right through Tasha. They read right through her. So basically, after that bloodbath of questioning from Tamika, they showed Tasha in the back getting ready to get dressed or whatever, go back to prison. And evidently the verdict came back from this jury that was pretty much unanimous that, yeah, she guilty, you know. And Tasha finally realizes that this probably wasn't, wasn't the plan. And Paula was back there with her and was like, look, you're going to have to come with something else because you're going to be in jail for a long time if you don't tell us what we need to help you. And Tasha just, she just cries and, she knows she's in over her head. It's not looking good for her. But after that, Tamika's packing up and getting ready to go or whatever. And McClain was like, yo, come team with us. Let's try to get Tasha, off this charge. Let's get her out of jail or whatever. And Tamika was like, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. She's not innocent of things. She's innocent of being a kingpin, and everybody knows that. But she knows that Tasha she ain't just the innocent person that she says she is outside of things and stuff. So she's like, she don't want no part of it. And she was like, Saxe is going to eat her alive or whatever. And then McClain brought up Saxe and Tamika defending Saxe for a case. Now, we know that Saxe had some legal problems. He was about to get charged back in season 6 of Power with some things. He remember when Saxe is around or Saxe gets stuff going on, people die or people he blows cases or whatever. He's just reckless when it comes to doing his job or whatever. But Tamika sees what McClain is doing, and she's just like, no, still, nice try. Make sure you run me my money. I don't want no parts of this, and she walks off. But McClain kind of knows that, okay, something up with that. This case ain't really about Tasha. This is about Cooper Saxe. And why does Saxe want this to be, wants this to be a fair case? He knows there's something up, so he's just digging and digging. He knows something up. He got a feeling about it. But Paula is like, look, let's go ahead and drop this case. This heifer going to jail. Okay, there ain't nothing we can do to save her. But McClain got a plan. You can tell he just intrigued by this case, and he's not going to give it up. So also in part of the show, Tariq is once again late for class. And what's the professor? Professor Simmons pretty much licensed to him too. First it was Professor Reynolds that gave him the business, and now this was Professor Simmons. It was like, I know you have an alarm clock, buddy. Why don't you just come to class on time? And they trade barbs or whatever, and they go back and forth about the book that he was supposed to read this time, which Tariq did read the book. But Professor Simmons actually came for him with your remedial response. I mean, it was like, dang, bro, you like really you finna come at me? But he got into him and let him know about the book and what he really thought about it and stuff. And Professor Reynolds was like looking on the side, like, okay, I like this kid. You can see he's starting to like him. So that whole thing went down, and Professor Simmons was kind of like, he got at him, but then he was just like, okay, I can see. But, that was crazy. So Lauren stops him out. They walk out the class together. Tariq is furious about the fact that the teacher was going after him like that. But Lauren's like, hey, you got to calm down. You got to back up out the professors and stuff like that. You can't just go at people, because they challenge you or whatever. No matter how mad you are, this is still a school. You got to do what you got to do. Do what's asked of you or whatever. So I kind of liked it because if it would have been me, if he would have came at me, I would have came at him too. Like, man, first of all, you talking about my alarm clock. I know I'm late. I get it, but don't be talking about how my responses are remedial to you, and it just whatever. That's just me. My mouth's smart like that. So we head to the basketball game where we see Monet and Diana are headed to the game or whatever, and randomly Diana starts talking about why she can't play basketball. So evidently we got another basketball player in the family, and that she wants to go to school and probably play ball or whatever. And man, Monet is a dream killer. She shot that down real fast. Like, what you gonna be in the WNBA and make like $70,000? That money ain't no money to this family. Just pretty much crapped on her whole dream of going to school and doing something with her life. And Monet was like, look, the family needs you. Your brother needs you. Your brothers need you. She was like, they don't need me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, they doing their own thing. I want to do mine. And like I said, Monet shuts that down, and somehow the topic gets on Tariq, and Monet lets her know, like, look, he is not welcome around that house. I don't want you talking to him. She just like, I know that something's up with that kid, and I don't want you to have anything to do with him. So they walk into the door to go in. Hey, it's Tariq right at the door waiting. And, Tariq is like, hey, Miss Monet, I want to thank you so much for your help, and da-da-da-da-da. And, man, she gave him the coldest shoulder. I mean, just like, okay, we good, man, okay. Like, And so, it's like, I was wondering if I can, come sit with you guys. He walking in behind them or whatever. The guy was like, how many in your group? She's like two, her and Diane. But Tariq is like right there. So it was just like, man, it was just like this odd, transaction or whatever, this odd moment in time right there where it's just like, okay, whatever. So they go into this game, but Zeke isn't playing in the game because his grades and stuff aren't still up to par. So Monet then made a trip up to the game when he's not really playing. And, he, Zeke is up there, he's suited and booted, thinking he's going to at least go up and warm up with the team or whatever, but that's against rules and regulations or whatever. So Monet pretty much made an empty trip to go see the rest of the team. I don't know if they lost or won, but evidently Zeke is the main guy on this team, so I think I would have put some money on they probably lost. So again, I told you we met Lorenzo Tejada during this time, and of course, cartel mob bosses got pulled in jail. You remember this guy's doing life in prison or whatever, so some kind of way he gets Monet in prison and to visit him. And I mean, dude got a whole setup. He got a bed, and not like the jail bed. I'm talking about like a queen of. I mean, it's just laid out. I mean, these folks got pool, and it's crazy because you know what? That stuff really happens. It really does. But he comes and talks to her about the kids and how he wants Drew. He really wants Drew to take over for the family because Kane is a hothead. We saw that when he just pulled that gun and started shooting him. It don't matter. And Diana wants to go to school or whatever. But Paul, put a pin right there. Back when I told you that they were at the game or whatever, and the coach was talking to Monet about, hey, Zeke ain't playing and da-da-da-da-da. Well, on the side conversation, Tariq evidently put something in her head to where Diane put something in Diane's head was basically in telling her, like, look, You got to do what you got to do or whatever. So she calls her daddy, and we don't know what was said, but now flashback and take the pen out what we were saying about Renzo saying that Diana needs to be in school or whatever. That was probably the conversation about her calling him, telling that she don't, she want to go to school, she want to do that or whatever. So Renzo was pushing that on Monet and telling her like, look, leave her out of it. She ain't built for it. She too close to you. Drew is the only one that we need to run this organization or whatever. So that was kind of a come to Jesus moment for Monet, because Renzo was like, I'm really not feeling how you run the business while I'm in here. So yeah, now we get to the adventures of Professor Reynolds and what is her name, Professor Milgram. They have their little relationship, and he's been blowing her up apparently ever since they rendezvoused on his desk last episode, and she's not answering. Remember, she has this love sex deal thing with counseling or whatever, and the counselor was like, look, you need to stay as far away from this dude as possible, yada, yada, yada. So evidently she is doing what she's supposed to do. She's upholding her end of the bargain. He's blowing her up. She's not responding. And, it looks like it's cool. So what does he do? Does he go look for her and chase her down and try to check on her? No. Does he call around and ask about her for anybody else? Have anybody seen her or whatever? Put me in touch with her? No. What does he do? He sleeps with his graduate student in his office. That man office nasty. Did you even clean up from last episode well, anyway, so he sleeps with his graduate student. And guess who hears it? Professor Milgram. She comes back to work only to hear him bumping sexy R&B music in the office right next to her. And all of a sudden they're thumping and moaning and all that other stuff, and her moaning his name and all the other stuff. And you could tell that she is kind of distraught by that. So she picks up her stuff. As soon as she gets there, she leaves pretty much. So she was probably in the office all of 5 minutes until she started hearing all of that stuff with Reynolds in the office. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing how that's going to go later on. So I remember I told you that Monet shut Tariq down at the basketball game, and he didn't get a chance to say what he wanted to say, so he called in a favor from Zeke. Zeke owes this guy plenty of favors because Zeke doesn't do anything. Tariq does all his work. Zeke goes around, messes with the women, plays video games, don't even try to write his name on type his name on paper, anything, because Tariq is doing all of that. Well, Tariq calls in a favor and was like, hey, pretty much I need to meet with your auntie. Are you still doing, weekly dinners with them or whatever? So they up in the room and the knock on the door. It's Monet at the door. And Monet's kind of surprised by it because she's like, I thought Tariq was gone or whatever. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, auntie, but Tariq really needs to talk with you. I'm on this probation with basketball. He's really helping me and stuff, but I need you to give him 5 minutes. So she was like, all right, cool. You go in the car. I'm going to talk to him. So Tariq finally gets to shoot his shot on why he should be around the Tejada family. He wants them as a supplier. He shows her a bag full of money. He actually gives it to her. And she was like, no, I'm good. I don't want that. I got money. But he was like, this is what I made. And I didn't even have to leave the college campus. All these kids do is party and study. I can make a lot of money for you guys. If you guys will be my supplier, we can make bank up here. She's just like, first she's like, all right, now chill, who you trying to say, a drug dealer or whatever. But Tariq ain't stupid. And she know this. He lays it out for her, like, look, this is what we gonna do, yada, 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 or whatever. And, Monet is kind of won over, but she's still kind of hesitant. But she's won over. But she's just like, all right, I do this, but in one condition. You got to leave Zeke out of this because they want Zeke far away from the drug money and drug business and stuff as possible. Okay? They don't want anything to do, they don't want him to have anything to do with that. They just want him to concentrate on basketball and going to the league. He says cool. She was like, you got to move out too. I don't want you around him. All right, cool. Tariq ended up moving with Brayden. I think his name Brayden. Yeah, which is cool with him because Brayden said he won't in, and they've been working together and moving this money. I remember I told you that money that he presented to Monet, him and Brayden got from a party early in the episode or whatever. Is it me or is it just like everything is kind of looking like Ghost? Like Brayden is Tariq's Tommy, maybe? I don't know. That's just me. Um, but yeah, so she lays it out. I was like, look, I'll do it. These are my conditions. He agrees. He promises that her name is not going to be anywhere near it. So he'll get his supply and do what he got to do. But the Tahada name, Monet name, would not be in it or whatever. So he wins her over. She agrees. And that's it for the show. All right. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so that wasn't it. Okay, so they agreed to do their deal with Tariq getting work from her, and he moved their work at the school. So there's always a hunch. There's always a thing that they fail to leave out when they're agreeing to do things. So Monet ends up calling Renzo and telling him about their little agreement up at the school. Did I just call the school Choate earlier? No. Anyway, at the school, he's going to be moving work for the Tahadas, okay? So she calls her husband, lets him know what the plan is. He's not too interested in it. He was like, do you trust this kid? What do we know about him? Whatever. But Monet's like, look, I know what I'm doing. I got a way to keep him in line or whatever. What would that mean? He asked, how would you do that? And he was like, you just got to go. You got to kind of just see what these folks, find out what their weakness is. And Renzo wants to know, what's his weakness? So we see Tasha in the cell, and she gets a phone call. She thinks the phone call is from Reek, but the phone call is actually from Mr. Lorenzo Tejada. And he says, hey, no, your son is okay. Everything's fine right now. But if your son doesn't come through with everything that he said he was going to do, we are going to kill him. Yeah. And Tasha's looking like, who is this dude? And what the hell did my son get me and himself into? And we fade to black, and the credits start to roll. So, man, another good show. It's kind of cool that they are going on without Ghost and Tommy. Those were the main characters of the other show, but a lot of people were kind of scared if they can continue it. But they're doing it pretty good. Doing pretty good with 3 episodes in. To me, they are. So I'm excited to see what next Sunday's episode will unfold. And I will be back again doing another video once that happens. So don't forget to like this video, like it, and subscribe. And look forward to getting in front of you guys again sometime soon. I'm Ricky Fontaine, and I'm out, man.